Good afternoon and welcome to Off the Cuff Live with Deb. I'm the broker owner here at Staged Homes Real Estate, and last week we talked about a property we had listed in Fallbrook. I had asked you, my audience, what you thought about the 3 offers that came in, and so I wanted to give you the results. We actually did our first open house debut after we got the 3 offers. We sent out a seller multiple counter. For those of you who don't know why that's important when you're a listing agent to do a multiple counter, the reason is when you send out a multiple counter, every one of those agents who received that offer got a counter offer that they were to present to their buyers. All of them actually responded back with an acceptance or, one case, a counter offer. That allowed our seller to be able to then subsequently relook at those counter offers and choose any one of those 3, and or if a better offer came in, she also had the right to accept the best offer. Had we just done a single counter offer and that buyer accepted, once we confirmed acceptance, it was over. She could not accept another offer. So as a listing agent, our role is to make sure that our seller is in the best position. So we held our open house debut, the first open house for this property in Fallbrook. We had over 100 visitors. And the reason we had over 100 visitors is because of the marketing that we did behind it. Not only did we have a drone virtual tour, we had the property beautifully staged, which, by the way, we do free professional home staging here at Staged Homes Real Estate, but we also had some sign spinners and formal gowns and tuxedos. You ask, why would you have sign spinners in formal gowns and tuxedos spinning their signs saying, come to our open house? It's because I grabbed your attention. 90% of the buyers that actually came by during that open house came by because of those beautiful sign spinners. We also do postcard mail outs that invite neighbors as well as other target marketed buyers we feel would be really interested in this particular property, because it did have some very specific things that a buyer might be interested in. It was a 1-acre property, it was zoned agriculture, and it was a horse property. So during the open house, when we were about ready to close up shop, a buyer walked in the property at about 4 o'clock. That buyer showed an extreme interest in the property. We walked property lines with them, and on the spot, he decided he wanted to buy that house. Turns out he didn't have an agent representing him. So we sat down with that buyer, and we got him pre-qualified over the phone with one of the lenders I happen to know very well. He was very well qualified. So the next question is how do I get in first position? What do I need to do to get this property? And so we sat down, did some number crunching, and it turns out, this being a conventional buyer, because this property needed some work, it also had only one heat source. If you remember from last week, we had a VA offer, and that VA buyer, you know, the qualifications for a VA loan is that it has 2 heat sources. Since the fireplace was the only heat source, one of the counter offers to that VA buyer was that he had to actually pay for the heat source prior to the close of escrow out of their pocket, which was about $8,000. And believe it or not, he said yes. So we did get that counter offer back. He came back at full price and willing to pay the $8,000 in addition to taking an as-is purchase. The FHA buyer we had on the table did come back at full price but would not take it as is. The VA buyer that presented the offer last week needed to have a heat source because it is one of the requirements for a VA loan that you have 2 heat sources. This property only had one, which was the fireplace. It was built in the 1950s and the old heat source didn't work. The FHA buyer came back, said full price, but we won't take it as is. And then the other conventional offer, full price and would take it as is. This buyer said, not only will I come in $6,000 above asking price, I'll take the property as is with no appraisal contingency. And on top of that, here at Staged Homes Real Estate, we offer a discount if we represent both the buyer and the seller in a transaction, equal to 1% of the commissions. So in that particular case, our seller not only got $6,000 more in asking, they also saved nearly $6,000 in commissions for a total savings of $12,000 net to the seller. So of course we went into escrow, 21-day close. The property's already been appraised, the property's already had inspections and flew by with flying colors. So we're going to be closing escrow here in about 2 weeks with our buyer on this property with the highest sold net to the seller and a very happy buyer. So thank you for making your comments and making a recommendation on the other 3 offers. Turns out we got a better one thanks to our seller multiple counter offer that we sent out. Once again, thank you for joining us here live on Off the Cuff with Deb.